What is up, guys? Welcome to the Dynamite review, Blood and Guts. We had the first ever women's Blood and Guts match. It was incredible. So much blood. We also had a non-title Falls Count Anywhere match between Adam Page and Powerhouse Hobbs. And then the main event, which I don't know if I'm happy about this main eventing, but it was the men's Blood and Guts match. So we're going to start off with the women's Blood and Guts match. This was incredible. So we had the heel team of Marina Shafir, Megan Bayne, Mercedes Moné, and the Triangle of Madness, which is Julia Hart, Sky Blue, and Tekla. And they were going against the babyface team of Harley Cameron, Jamie Hayter, Chris Statlander, Mina Shirakawa, Toni Storm, and Willow Nightingale. This was an amazing match. It started off with Sky Blue and Willow, and they were just going at it. Two amazing wrestlers. And leading up to this match, everybody was excited because we all know Sky Blue is insane. So we knew she was gonna be like probably the first to bleed, and she was. I thought they would wait until there's like 2 or 3 people in both teams before the first person started bleeding, but she started bleeding right away, and it was incredible. Like, we were just so in immediately. And then I don't want to go like through every single entry, but Sky Blue is definitely the person who stood out the most. I think she did really great. I think Harley has also improved so much. This was also an amazing match for her. Mercedes coming in, she just tore everything up. She was like super entertaining. I think she's probably like from a just character and like doing random stuff in the match, she was probably like one of the most entertaining people. She came in here, she like started beating everybody, got out of the cage, grabbed her titles and gave it to everybody, and they just started, beating everybody with the titles. So that was an amazing part of that match. Pretty fun, very entertaining. The other person I enjoyed was Chris Statlander. She came in. I was kind of disappointed that she didn't come in last because she's the women's world champion. But I also think, you're in the middle of the match. You kind of want that amazing wrestler to come in too. Also, you gave her a lot of time as the champion in the match. So I really like that part too. Also, Marina Shafir coming out, her Death Rider entrance. She came in through the crowd. She dragged out Chris Statlander out of the cage and put her through the spike table. That was amazing. I'm really happy that, women also got to do something like that. And it makes so much sense that it's Chris Statlander. I feel like she is the person who would do that. I also would have seen Sky Blue being done for that. So, I don't know, maybe somewhere down the line she'd be, given a chance to do something crazy like that. And then I also liked the ending because it was so story focused. I also think it set up the potential semifinals match between the team of Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne going against the Timeless Love Bombs, Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa. Fun. I'm kind of disappointed. I feel like Megan Bayne wasn't really given enough, but I feel like she's also shined a lot throughout the year, so it's fine. But that ending was great. So they held up Toni Storm, and then Marina Shafir had Mina in a choke, and Megan Bayne was slapping her or hitting her with the TBS title. Actually, I think it was the TBS title, and that was how they ended the match. Also, Mercedes and Chris Statlander were outside. They went through a table. I feel like I don't mind that. I feel like I would have loved if they were there for the ending, but I feel like it's a really great way of separating everybody. So it's just Toni having no choice but to quit to save Mina Shirakawa. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, this was an amazing match. I also liked that Penelope Ford and Queen Aminata were, even though they couldn't compete because of injuries, they were given a role to, come out there so we could see them take part in this match somehow, because they were part of the build and it sucked that they got injured. But yeah, I also want to shout out Tekla. Tekla did amazing in this match. So that was pretty fun. Also Willow, I want to shout out Willow. I feel like it sucked that we didn't really get much of Willow and Mercedes, like the story part. We also didn't get like much of that kind of stuff between Mercedes and Tony. I feel like the story part of it, there wasn't really much outside of Mercedes and Chris, and then the end, which ended the match. But yeah, the girls did really amazing. I really enjoyed this. I think it was the better match, even though we didn't have the crazy stuff that the men's stuff had, but I enjoyed this one more. I also think it's boosted by the fact that it's their first time, and for the guys, we've seen them do this so many times, so it's not really that impactful. And then we also had a match that I'm not really gonna get too much into, but Adam Page and Powerhouse Hobbs, this was an amazing match. I really loved it. Powerhouse Hobbs is amazing. I'd like to see him do something. I would assume if he's, back by the time of Full Gear, I like it if he's in that national title Casino Gauntlet match. So I really like that. And then we also, did stuff for the match that's coming between Samoa Joe and Hangman. And after the match, Samoa Joe and Shibata came out and attacked Hangman, and he was saved by Hook and Eddie Kingston. And then Hangman said that the match would be in a steel cage. So I'm assuming now that Hangman and Samoa Joe will main event because they now have a stipulation, and I feel like that could set up MJF coming back. I'm kind of disappointed because I felt like this was, kind of like a good opportunity to have the women main event, but I also get it. I feel like they haven't really built up Mercedes and Chris Statlander that much, outside of the fact that this will be like the third match of their trilogy. That is mainly what the build is, but it's fine. We also had FTR interrupting Ricky the Steamboat and, running him down like they always do to legends. Brody King and Bandito came out to like save him, and then they beat up FTR to set up, to build more towards the Full Gear match. So I really like that. And then the main event was the men's Blood and Guts. This was also amazing. It's Blood and Guts. I feel like it's always gonna be fun regardless of what happens. Even if it's not really that good, it's just like a dumpster fire that you can't look away from. So you're gonna be satisfied regardless. I also think because they didn't turn on John Moxley, that's why I'm kind of disappointed that the women didn't main event, because theirs was like a more big occasion, it was a bigger match because it was the first time happening. But it's fine. I feel like it's good because the baby faces were winning this match, so it was a good way to end the show for the crowd. So the finish saw Kyle O'Reilly finally tapping out John Moxley. So John Moxley have tapped out again. So it's looking really bleak for John Moxley. So I think it's only a matter of time before he got kicked out. I feel like this was the perfect time for that to happen. But I don't know, maybe they want to do it at like a pay-per-view or something. But the Death Riders aren't even on pay-per-view, so I don't know what they're planning with that, but it's fine. But yeah, this was really such a good show. They also set up stuff for the trios match between Jurassic Express and Kenny Omega and Josh Alexander and the Young Bucks. So Kenny Omega is going to be on Dynamite next week, and that's going to be fun. So yeah, that is it for the show. I think the best moment was definitely the women's Blood and Guts, and the lowest for me is that there wasn't really a 10. I think that was the most disappointing part, is that they didn't turn on John Moxley. But overall, this was a good show. I think it's one of the best Dynamite shows this year. So that is it for the video. Like, subscribe, and I don't know when I'll do another video because I don't really care about SmackDown that much, but if it's good, the video will come out soon.